How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing, Sam? You've been rolling for 90 minutes. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm good. I
Yeah.
might take a little, walk around a little bit while you are here because
Okay.
people, have all the energy from you to keep them going. Alyssa, you're a JavaScript girl. What are you doing here?
What am I doing in this .NET world?
But you've been so brave, and you have, I think, broken through so many barriers, and you have pushed .NET MAUI to so many people that we would not have a reach to because you are tinkering, and our worlds are coming together.
Oh, they
And
are.
that's all a nice thing. What's overloading? Maybe Sean. We should have Sean on to teach us some more things in
Yeah.
.NET because I don't do overloading in .NET.
No.
What is it?
Oh, like I'm assuming he's talking about where you have like two, I don't know what they're called in .NET functions. Are they called functions?
Oh, I see. Like the same named functions that are
Same named
overloaded with
functions,
different
and
parameters. I
one
see.
has a
Okay.
different signature, like it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
accepts different parameters, and that's okay. And it knows which one you're trying to call based on what
Yeah.
the signature looks like. And that's like absolutely like JavaScript just yells at you all over the place. It's like,
Oh,
get rid
wow.
of it,
JavaScript
get rid of
doesn't
it, get rid of
do
it.
that at all.
It will not, like, it like actually stops running. Like it doesn't
Wow.
just keep chugging and take the last one or something like you'd expect. That's what I
Wow.
thought. I was like, I'll just make multiple versions of this function and the last one
Huh.
in the list will
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Okay. So I didn't catch it immediately what overloading meant, but we do that all over the place in .NET.
I know.
So,
I
yeah. Okay. All right, Alyssa. So everything has been smooth going for you in .NET MAUI.
So
Now.
I do it differently than
Okay.
everybody else because I, like you,
Maddie's here. Say hello.
I
That's like,
I love Mac.
yeah,
I'm like that, the movie with I love Lamp. Like I love Mac,
yeah.
and I think that's just I honestly blame that for most of my hiccups. Like anytime I'm like
No,
following a
no.
guide and it doesn't work, or I try a command and it doesn't work, and I'm like I have this like moment, a good like the other day I was trying to get the simulators running and I was like, mother
Mhm.
of God, I've done this a million times before. I know how to do this. Why isn't it working? And someone on the live stream was like, did you update your Xcode? And I was like, what?
Well, okay, so these are pain points for native development, not as much Mac versus Windows, because like you and Ed and Catherine and everybody who lives in the webland, you
Right.
have it easy. You have a browser that's evergreen. Everything is in the browser.
I
The
love
moment you
browsers.
get to
Yeah.
simulators and desktop, it's a very different game. Yeah.
It
Uh,
really
and uh,
is.
and
It
I'm with
really
you.
is.
I'm on a Mac all the time,
Mhm.
and I had a shirt that said like I go both ways, which is kind of culturally offensive, but I really do. I don't care. And modern developers should not, and .NET MAUI should not make a difference between Windows and Mac. A lot of the .NET MAUI team, folks on ASP.NET, folks on Azure, they're all over with Macs, so there should not be any
I
difference.
just I feel like, and maybe that's what you mean by I have it easy as a web developer, because I feel like as a Lance, welcome to my world. Do you think he was referring to the
Yeah,
updating your
the,
Xcode?
and just the whole native world is
Ah.
just painful.
So it's like I thought I was really good at juggling, right? Like
Mm,
you've even commented before on my multitasking abilities.
sure.
And I come from web where things are like, like you write the code, you deploy the code, you walk away from the code, right? And you're like, but like just today, I was like ranting to Zach. I was like, where the frick is because I was opening up the App Store Connect and I was trying to deploy to the Apple App Store, but there was like 3 different freaking
Mm,
websites that you have to remember to do different things on in order to deploy
yeah.
one application. And so it's just all of these, it's not only that, but going from JavaScript to .NET and just having these different struggles with like, oh, I forgot I have to download like these Alyssa sounds. I I just I feel like there's so much extra to remember that I forget little things. And so my journey on the way, like it's been great, but I run into these things where I feel so dumb because I'm like, why didn't I remember to do that? Or why didn't I remember how to get here or this one website? And so I'm just like, does everyone else have like a secret document where you're like
No,
keeping this
we just
stuff?
all struggle together. We just don't
Okay.
say it out loud. So, Maddie, if you're still watching, it's not your fault. What Alyssa is
Yeah.
going through is just the
I
nature of the
think it's
beast.
called
Yeah,
brain damage is what I
yeah,
think is the
yeah.
no, Code with Sean said I use OneNote a lot. Yeah, I write personal notes to myself a lot about how to do things. And I do wonder, like, Sam, do you have that for anything in life, or do you just lock it away in your brain of like just processes and where and what?
No,
Like,
I have cheat sheets, and I've been told like at conferences to just forget your demos, just give us your cheat sheet of all the commands and all the painful things. Like,
wait,
okay,
like did they like get a sneak peek at it and then
yeah,
they were
yeah,
just
because
like,
sometimes,
we need
yeah,
that?
sometimes I forget the commands of or a build command or a CI/CD, and the folks are like, "Hey, just forget your demos, just give us that." Okay, yeah, okay, okay. All right. So you have, you come from a very Angular world. You're a Google developer advocate, expert, GDE, and you live in, breathe in that space. And now you're able to bring in Angular apps to desktop
I know,
and
and I don't know.
mobile
Do you know if that like is accepted by the community as an acceptable use of the technology?
for all 5 or 4 years. No, it's nothing new, right? So the desire to bring in web
Wait,
things
wait.
to
It's
desktop.
not new. This is
No,
new
it's
to
nothing
me,
new.
Sam.
Yeah, but the desire to bring web stuff to desktop, that's nothing new. And we have had plenty of
Mm,
ways to do this. We did PWAs, and we still do. It's a good solution for a lot of,
I'm pretty sure the
apps.
correct pronouncement is pois,
Poa,
but
poa,
just yeah,
okay,
okay.
poa. Electron gets a bad rap, but I think they're still solid. They're I mean, a lot of
Do
apps
they?
are.
I wonder if they still. Do you think they still have a following? I thought they were
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, very
oh,
much. And they're battle tested. They have been around for a long time, but they can be a little heavy handed if you don't know what you're doing with your
mm,
Chrome processes. And sometimes you don't need the deep OS integrations that sometimes Electron brings in.
hmm.
Maui's approach is much more lightweight with a modern web browser and a web view. So I think what you're doing is more acceptable, more more approachable to a lot more folks.
Do you want me to show you a slide or two? I have that.
Please,
I
yeah,
have that deck up in case you wanted to see, because some people might be like, "What are they talking about?"
yes,
There's.
please.
Oh wow! I just there's like I can actually share the whole deck with you. Do you think that's actually going to work? I've never tried that in StreamYard.
You can
Hold.
share just one app or the whole screen.
No, it's like asking for like the actual file to like upload the deck. Like
Yeah, you could.
that sounds
But
fancy. Let's
yeah,
just share the screen.
Dan has thoughts about bringing in web stuff,
Ooh,
but
what's he
it's
saying?
it's an option. A lot of
Isn't he
folks don't.
supposed to be underwater right now?
A lot of folks don't like that, and I get that as well. But it's an option. It's an option that it's nice to have. That you are able to bring in Blazor, you are able to bring in Angular or other things, web things into desktop. May not always be working the way you want, but it's an option. And .NET and JavaScript can talk to each other. So yeah,
So
it's
I've
an
got
option.
this. I
Yeah.
don't want it full screen. I want it like I'm just gonna like make this sidebar small so you can't. No one can sneak a peek.
Also, like no pressure. We got like 15 minutes because
Oh, I
everybody
got
has a
this. I
short
got
amount of
this.
time. All right.
So, what we're talking about, which most of you probably maybe have heard of, already know, is deploying. I'm going to go ahead and open this back up so I can just blip through them. View it. I want
Blip
to see
through
your
them.
navigator. Yes, I'm blipping, Sam. We're not doing animations. We're not doing anything fancy. We're not crazy here.
You have beautiful slides, by the way.
Thank you. So, I took a tour of Pony's application. Spoiler alert. The App Store was unhappy because apparently I don't have Hasbro rights. I don't know.
Yeah.
Still
Hmm.
working on getting Hasbro rights. But to build this, I went and used the Angular, like opened up the Angular application, built the Angular application. And I would at first, like whenever I do this talk, I walk through like this is the normal process, right? You open a provider like Netlify and you slap all your info, like your GitHub link and your serve command, and then it's like up on the web, right? But then I want it on all the devices. And so this was me essentially walking through how to get Maui on Mac, installing .NET and the workloads. That's what I was talking about with like, hey, I installed .NET, but I forgot the workloads. You know, like these different these different pieces of life that people seem
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
somehow remember. But essentially the craft, this is like the meatiest slide of it all, is to create the .NET app, the Maui Blazor hybrid application. delete your Blazor web view, insert your built JavaScript application into the www root, build and run it, and deploy to the app stores. And so this one is just me like creating that application. This is the part which I like to press play on this guy because he's got a cute little animation where you actually are taking out, because it's pointing to the Blazor application, right? And we don't want that. We want our Angular application, but we're going to leave this Blazor web view because that's what we are using. And I actually wanted to talk to you a little bit about that web view if you had a second, Sam, because I had some notes here of like, do you do this like after a talk, like postmortem? I'll like do better next time, or make sure you change this. So I had questions about the web view too, and what web view it's running on. And I was like, this is definitely over my head on like web views and what technology.
But you took the screenshot away because we could talk through it.
Oh yeah. Which part? Which
Just
screen do you want?
Everything is gone. So bring it back up so we can talk through it. And while you're doing that, Lance is pointing out how amazing your slide deck template is. How amazingly beautiful it is.
Yeah, its happiness overpowers the dread.
Yeah. So go back to.
You see my web view?
Yeah, the web view.
My web view, she's so sexy.
And the thing that you mentioned with the pony is like the web doesn't care, but the moment you want to go to the store, you're stepping into somebody's walled garden, and they're going to be very strict about using brands that are not yours. So yeah, you have to get all the permissions.
I know. I was like, whenever I got that back, I was like, they don't know. I can work for Hasbro. Like,
okay. So long story short, that Blazor web view that you're using, it is a UI component, and it's a very smart one. It's we had a very basic one of this back in the Xamarin days, but in .NET MAUI, it's a very, very smart one. It's
why do you say basic? Like it just didn't like what?
So it was we had a web view essentially in Xamarin, where you could load up, you could point it to a remote HTML, CSS, and it'll render, or you could load up anything local, but it didn't do anything else. It was just, kind of a dumb web view. It just knew how to render HTML. This one here is smart because it does a couple of things. First is it gives you an abstraction. You run that, you drop that web view in your XAML or your .NET MAUI view, and it's going to try to figure out at runtime which platform are you running on. So that web view 2 that you asked, that's the Windows web view that you're getting when you have Chrome or Edge installed on Windows. So when this code runs on Windows as a .NET MAUI app, you are getting a web view 2. When you're running this on Android, you get the what's it called, the Chromium web view. On iOS, you get WebKit. On Mac, you get WK web view. So it's an abstraction that's giving you the right.
Is there like somewhere in the docs where this is like listed out so that I can like no?
You're not supposed to be caring, so I don't think it's explicitly mentioned. But if you get down to the nitty-gritties, sometimes
it's not just me that you insulted. It's the like multiple people who've asked me this question after the like every time I do this talk, I get that question. Like they want to dive into like what it's running on each one, and I'm like.
And so maybe the thing is like it's not something you want to know, because the whole point is to abstract it away from you so you don't care. And modern greenfield browsers, evergreen browsers, should not have any differences. So that's where it's coming in.
So you think that's where that question is stemming from for these .NET developers, because they've had to care in the past and gotten bit from it?
Because if you are just supporting Windows, if you didn't care about Mac or iOS or Android, you don't need to name it Blazor Web View. You could also, that you are on Windows, you can just name it Web View 2, but then you are not benefiting from all of the other things that Blazor Web View does, because it gives you the abstraction. 2 is like that piece of code that you just deleted where you took out the local main where it's pointing you. It's an implementation detail. This one here knows exactly how to load up a Blazor application to point to the first Blazor UI component and its routing, all of that. So all of that is already built in for you, which you are swapping out because now you're trying to do Angular. And also, it also brings in a little JavaScript interop. So .NET and JavaScript can talk to each other. So it's a very smart abstraction.
Okay. Is there interop that we have to worry about not working. Like, oh no, I'm now on a Windows desktop app that I'm shipping to, and it's not gonna know what to do with the compass. I don't know. Like, is there something I gotta worry about? Like,
No,
no.
should work on
Okay.
paper.
On paper.
Should work. Yeah, should be the same
Excellent.
across platforms.
Excellent. Okay.
All right, so you have the My Ponies app, and you are able to wrap it inside Blazor web views, and it all works in Maui. But what was your experience putting it through the store? So, what were some of the hurdles?
So let me get to the stores part. This was amazing because
Oh no,
for those of you who don't know, Gerald, is it Versluis? I don't want to mispronounce
Versluis.
King. Is it Sluis? Do you say Sluis?
I say Sluis. I might be
Are
wrong.
you going up on
I might be wrong.
the end? It's like from that movie where she's like, it's grandmama. You go up on the end. But King Gerald makes guides all over the place. And in my early learnings of .NET, anything I Googled, like his name would pop up. And so I dubbed him the king because he has so much useful content out there. But this one was amazing with getting started because there were some hiccups and weird things versus
I have apparently been wrong. It's just Verslu. What's up?
I love
So
that
I was
so
doing
much,
the exact
Sammy.
opposite of what I'm supposed to do. That's great.
You got to go down on the end.
Yeah, okay, got it.
So this guide is amazing because it has all of those weird gotchas. I have sorry, Maddie's cracking me up. But no, so there are some weird gotchas, especially things like you have to download Transporter in order to upload your actual file, your little nugget of like, I'm ready to ship to the App Store. I have bundled, I have tested, I got all my screenshots, I got all my certificates lined up. And then you're like, oh, wait, I can't just upload this bundled nugget to the App Store. I have to download a random thing called Transporter to upload it to. So it's just interesting, weird gotchas like that. But there are some really good guides. This is one of them that kind of helped.
Also, when Alyssa says nugget, she means a nugget of goodness, not nougat packages, because that's a very different thing in our world. Yeah,
that is a different thing. But no, I highly recommend for anyone who's like curious about this process to just dabble and try it out and don't use the word demo. This is my, because you will be immediately blocked. The app stores will be like, no. And so even if it is a demo, be like, it's to help children count.
Yeah. We have Lance coming up next. He's got lots and lots of stories as well. But, based on when you're doing this, sometimes these rejections and the back and forth, it can take you weeks of, just fun times.
It can. But also, my husband does this on the daily for his job. And it's funny, some of the stories I've seen where they tried, like one of the devs tried and the app got rejected. And so the next day they just tried again and like instantly, like changed nothing, instantly got it. So I really feel like it's like who you're getting on the other end and what they're feeling. Like it's just like a roll of the dice, like on how strict they are.
Can
So
feel sometimes. Just a quick pointer here. So there's a gentleman named Matt Goldman. He is out of Australia. His family is in the UK, where he was having some issues, so he could not join us. But he has written this book called .NET MAUI in Action, and the last 3 or 4 chapters of that book are dedicated to deployments and the pain. Especially if you're doing CI/CD and any type of things. And he walks through exactly all of the pains in iOS, in Android, and in Windows in great detail. So just a quick shout out to an amazing.
Oh, that's such a great resource. Awesome. Thank you, Sam.
And while the book is something you can go buy, I think some of that content he's put out on his blogs, so you can go and read.
Excellent. Well, thank you for having me on, and I can't wait to see you and hopefully some of the chatters next week in St. Louis. So
So just briefly, you are still in the process of trying to push it out. You're not out there yet, or did you have an app out?
Yes, I am currently deploying a different one that has absolutely nothing to do with ponies. I made sure I owned all the assets for this one, so I'm working on that one right now in the App Store. So we'll see. I'm hoping it doesn't take weeks, but I feel like it really is just seemingly random on how
Yeah,
long
can.
to get the
Now,
feedback.
are you using any like you're going iOS first? I'm guessing.
I am. I don't have
Yeah.
to though. I
No. Yeah.
honestly
Yeah.
like
Can
I
go either.
got set up with the Android. Is it
Okay.
called the Play Store?
Yeah. Yeah. So are you using any like special permissions like entitlements in iOS?
Should I be? Because I
No,
it's a
no. If you're
very
not, if you don't need it, don't use it. Because
okay. I
that's
was like, wait. I was like, I
that's
said no to that stuff because I didn't
yeah,
think I
yeah.
needed it. But I was like, if there's a gotcha, you best let me know now,
No,
Sam.
no. If you're using any of the Apple services, that's a whole other layer of pain. Because
Have you gone through that? Did you was that
one
fun?
time for an app not tied to Maui, but it's the same idea. Because like the moment you tap into some of the services that Apple and Google provide, things
Mm,
like tapping into Siri or
right.
iCloud or any type of file storage, which is like Keychain in iOS, those are exactly what it sounds like. It's entitlements. That those are in addition to your info plist and your regular permissions.
Right.
So that's another level of pain. Yeah, but
Oh,
fun
that's just
stuff.
something to look forward to if you want to.
So much to look forward to. But
Oh.
Alyssa, we are just so glad that you are doing this because you are really building the bridges and making everybody's JavaScript or web developers be feel more welcome in our native land.
Oh, well, thank you so
So
much. And thanks for doing this stream today. It's been
thank
really
you,
cool.
thank you. No, this is great to hang out. And before you go, I'm going to bring out Lance here, who's been laughing, by the way, at some of your comments because Lance knows some of the pains that we're talking about. Yeah,
Yes, I'm off to lunch. Mwah. Have a good
all right.
session, boys.
Thank you,
Bye.
thank you. Bye.